Just a couple things quickly. I didn't see Lucic on the ice. Is there...
Nope. Game player right now, so hopefully he's fine tomorrow. He was sore after the game, and we'll see tomorrow, but we're assuming he's going to play until someone tells us otherwise, but we were told to keep him off the ice today just to make sure he's a little bit healthier. He got sore as the game went on yesterday and didn't play a lot in the third period because of it.
The Maple Leafs are the one regulation loss out of the last 9 when they got 5 goals in about 10 minutes. I mean, how do you avoid an outburst like that? I mean, they're going to get chances, but how do you limit what goes in against
Yeah.
them?
Well, the first period was the best period we played of all these games. That's as well as we've played, and especially on the road. We managed the game properly. We did everything we wanted to do. And then in the second period, we fed their transition game. We turned it over 3 times in the neutral zone. We over-pursued in the neutral zone, and they made us pay dearly for it. And that's a lesson learned. We know how we have to play to beat them. We saw that in the first period. But we've got to play more than 20 minutes the right way to beat that team. And even as well as Vancouver played against them, Toronto still had 7 odd man rushes in the second period alone. And we've got to avoid that. That's the one element. If we're going to get beat, we'll get beat in zone, but to give it up where you give an odd man rushes and you have the puck, that's something we've got to try to avoid at all costs. And that's quite frankly the lesson we learned, and that's why I think we're better now than we've ever been, because we learned that lesson in Toronto, what happens against good teams when you don't manage the puck very well.
Hitch, last night, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins scored, and that's now the most points he's ever had in a season. So in your eyes, how has he accomplished that this season, and how has he developed as a player?
Well, I always thought of him as kind of an elite support player. In other words, you know, he's kind of the second tier player on your hockey club that really is the glue of the team. And I think that's been kind of solidified since I've been here. He's kind of the glue of the hockey club. He's a guy, because of his smarts, he can play anywhere and with anybody. And that's, to me, a very unique quality, because we're asking him to go play left wing, to play center. We're asking him to play up and down the lineup. He's got to kill penalties. He's got to play on the power play, and he's got to play a lot of minutes. And for a small guy to play the heavy minutes he does, it's pretty impressive. And, you know, I think there's been times that we've probably overplayed him through necessity, but he's just such a good player that you trust him in every situation.
With Leon as these...
Oh, you're back.
Oh, hi, Hitch.
Oh. How was Florida?
It was good.
Oh, good.
Yeah, not much going on down there.
Yeah.
Not a lot of news, but yeah, lots of GMs and such down there. Anyway, forgot my question now. Oh, Leon, as these goals are pouring in, you know, he seems to be thriving and wanting more, you know, whether it's practicing, working on things. What have you sort of noticed with Leon as he's taken it to that really, really high level goal scoring wise?
Patience with the puck. He's not forcing the issue. He's comfortable hanging on to it. He's not trying to hit home runs offensively. He's waiting for people to get tired. He's buying time. Look at the first point he got yesterday on the goal by Chason. He bought time on the boards for 15 seconds and tired people out. They made a mistake, and the next thing you know, it's in the net. I think his patience in the game now is as good as it's ever been, and it's allowed him to be a player that he knows when he's wearing the opposition out and when he can strike it. I think the other thing, he said it perfectly too, is that he's not trying to pick corners. He's just trying to shoot it really quickly. And when you talk to all the goal scorers, that's what they try to do, is hit the middle of the net and then try to shoot it quickly. And that's what he's, on every situation, rush, in the zone or wherever, he's getting it away right now.
He talked a little bit about, I mean, his performance since the All-Star game, his goals per game has just shot right up. Is there something to a younger player going and being on that stage, being selected, being around all those guys? Maybe there's a bump in there. I mean, I know All-Star isn't the most serious thing, but a confidence bump can be there for some young guys like this.
Well, confidence, but I think there's also lesson learned. I think what you learn in that situation is how busy that time is for a player and a coach, and how professional guys are. And I think that's what you learn is that, there's a professional way to get ready to play, even if it's an all-star game. And I know watching older players, the first time that Yzerman and Gretzky were involved in these things. It was really impressive the way these guys prepared for stuff like that. And the younger players were in awe of how professional they were in their approach to everything. And I think he learned a lot going there. He learned a lot about some of the older guys and the way they respectfully treat the media and the fans, and how much they have so much time for those people and appreciate them. And I think he learned a big lesson about that.
With Mikko, he's had a roller coaster season, up and down, up again, up and down. But it now seems like all his arrows are pointing up. Can you kind of take us through the ride that you've seen him go through, transitioning to the game and everything?
Terry, for me, you see right away as a coach how competitive a guy is at practice. So the practice leads to the games. When I first came here, I saw a really, really competitive guy at practice that still had a lot of learning to understand North American game. And I was talking to you about this before. The game in North America, there's substantial shots being taken from outside the dots. In Europe, there's none. You don't shoot from outside the dots. You get benched for doing that. And he had to learn about all the fireballing that was going on from those areas. In other words, all of a sudden, instead of looking at 20 shots a game, he's looking at 40 shots a game. And I think once he got used to that, he got more comfortable in the net. But I said this before when Peter signed him, that the trust you have is on his competitiveness. He's a very unique, competitive guy. And the other part that I liked was that regardless of what happened, he came back to work. Like yesterday, he didn't like that first goal that went in at all. He was really unhappy with himself. He comes back today and puts the work in, and he's done very matter of fact. He just comes down from the highs or the lows so quickly that he's back on task. And I think that's what makes this guy really good, is that he can just let it go and walk out of the building and get ready to go to work the next day. And so from a coaching standpoint, you really trust the guy.
That was, I thought, Grant Fuhr's greatest quality. But with the, and this is going to sound like a stupid statement, but the better your defense, the better the goalie, obviously. But how much having a better defense does that escalate his goaltending? Because it seems like he feeds off a good defense a little bit more than maybe.
Yeah, well, I think the defense where we're better is we spend less time in our own zone. That's the number one area. I'm not saying we're any better defending, but we spend way less time in our own zone than we have previously. And that's the addition of Sekera and the addition of Clefbaum. They transition the puck out of there. We're not in near as much trouble as we were before. We were in a lot of trouble before. We would get hemmed in for extended periods of time, so you're seeing way more shots. Those two guys have augmented two pairs for us and made two pairs a lot better, because they're comfortable when it's pretty intense in your zone, and they help us get out of there. Well, different shot, but what he's not seeing is a lot of the garbage around the net, where there's second and third and fourth opportunities, and we're a little bit more committed than we've ever been for him too, but he's not seeing the bang, bang, bang plays that were in the goal crease before. Not near as many as he was before.
Every time Connor plays Toronto, they blow it up like it's Connor against Matthews and stuff. And yet last game, Tavares played against Connor. And then if Kadri plays tomorrow, Kadri will probably play against Connor.
No, Kadri won't play against Connor. Not if I could help it.
Oh, okay. Well, he has in the past, let's put it that way. So do you think that they make too much of the Matthews-Connor thing? Is it all Toronto hype? Or or does Connor, when he plays against Matthews and he plays against the other guys, is that how it?
Well, I think he gets excited like when he's playing against top players, and I think more than anything, he relishes those opportunities. I think we all do. I mean, it's Toronto Maple Leafs tomorrow. We got spanked pretty good. We want to prove ourselves. We want to show ourselves that we're better, and I think individually and collectively we want to do it. But I've always found this year, the bigger the stage, the better Connor plays. And so you get excited for your team because you know he's going to go to a whole other level. And if he ever has a poor game, you know he's going to follow it up with 2 or 3 really good ones. So for me, as a fan, I like seeing Connor versus Matthews or Connor versus Tavares or Connor versus Taves or whatever. I like seeing that stuff because it's good for the game. But more important, I think every time Connor's up against those challenges, he meets them head on and he doesn't run and hide from them.
So if you've got Leon, does it equalize it if they've got Tavares and Matthews? Does it equalize things?
Yeah, and it gives me, playing those guys separate gives me better options matchup-wise. I don't have a good matchup. Like last night they wanted Horvat against Connor all the time, and we wouldn't give it to him. But when they got Horvat and Sutter, they can negate some stuff there, and you know, and that's why for me Matthews and like Toronto's got the three-headed group with Kadri in there, and so you know they've got an advantage on most nights on most teams. So I've got to find something that I can negate from their team, which gives Connor a little bit more of an advantage, and that's where Leon comes to play here. Yeah, that's the one thing. All right, see you guys later.